I've been trading prop firms for years and managed to generate over 6 figures in payouts using one specific system that still works in 2026. And if you follow me through this video, I'll walk you through the exact approach that I use to pass evaluations and get consistent payouts. So let's get into it. Now, before we even touch the charts or talk about strategy, we first need to understand what these prop firms are and the mindset you need to put yourself in so we can actually exploit these prop firms. So let me first just break this down for you because this is where most traders mess up. Prop firms give you simulated capital with specific risk parameters that you have to follow. You first start off on a challenge phase, and if you hit the profit targets without violating the drawdown limits, then you move on to the funded phase, and that's where you can actually start to earn real money from these accounts. And that's a brief overview on what prop firms are. I now want to talk about where 90% of traders go wrong, and it all comes down to their mindset. With prop firm trading, they have these rules in place that make you trade extremely emotional. The majority of people will try to rush payouts and rush the evaluation phase, and they overall just obsess over these rules instead of actually focusing on executing their model. So instead, the biggest mindset shift you can actually do is just start treating these prop firm accounts like a business. The money you're spending on these accounts is all an investment at the end of the day. And the point of prop firms is to simply make more money than what you've spent on these accounts, and that is considered profitable. When you're first starting off trading, you are going to blow accounts, and that is completely okay. It is part of the process. I've blown well over $5,000 when I first started trading in evaluation accounts alone. But then the first month that I actually started making money from these prop firms, I completely wiped out all of those losses. So just know that you're essentially just paying your tuition and it will pay off in the long run. I'm now going to show you what prop firm to use so you can start off on the right foot. Now, not all prop firms are created equally, which is why if you pick the wrong one, you're going to be setting yourself up for failure before you even start. In 2026, the entire prop firm landscape has changed, and a lot of traders are wasting money on accounts and firms that make it nearly impossible for you to get paid. So in order to maximize your chances for consistent payouts and long-term profitability, here's exactly what you need to look for. The first thing I look for when I'm choosing a prop firm is, does it have a reasonable amount of drawdown? There are a lot of firms out there with not great drawdown rules, and it's really important that you choose one that has bigger drawdown rules so that you can actually risk more money and make more money. The second thing I look for is reasonable or achievable profit targets. I've seen prop firms out there that have just huge profit targets, making it really hard to even pass the challenge. So try to find one that just has a reasonable amount of profit targets, something that's not too crazy and that you can pass the account in a couple of trades. Number 3 is just having fair consistency rules, and this is really important. I'll expand more on this later, but this is really important. And the lower the consistency rule is with the firm, you're typically going to have to trade a little bit more conservative, which isn't a bad thing. And my strategy actually works really well with prop firms because it's very consistent, doesn't have a high risk reward, so it works well. But if you're someone that takes very high risk reward plays, be extremely careful with what type of account you're choosing when it comes to having these consistency rules. Number 4 is instant funding. Now, this is more optional, but for experienced traders like myself, this is really nice to have because you can just basically skip the evaluation phase and move straight to that funded account and start earning actual money in a couple of days. And number 5, and this is the most important, is they actually have a proven payout reputation because you guys need to actually get paid from these firms. Now, the firm that I'm going to focus on in this video is Tradeify. I personally trade with Alpha Futures and Apex Trader Funding as well, and that's how I'm able to stack so many accounts with TradeSyncer. But right now, I think Tradeify has the best combination of rules and payout reliability. By the way, also, I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you guys to get started with Tradeify, as well as anything else I mentioned in this video. All right, guys, so here's the Tradeify dashboard. It says choose your account. Okay, so there are 3 different accounts you can choose right now with Tradeify. There is the growth account, which you can get funding in 1 day. The select account, you get funding in 3 days. And the lightning account, you can get instant funding. So you don't have any evaluation, you're funded instantly. So I want to talk about the different account sizes that you can actually get. Right now with Tradeify, with the growth and select accounts, you can get 50Ks, 100Ks, and 150Ks. And if you're a beginner trader and you're still unprofitable, there is no reason you should be shooting for these 100Ks or 150K accounts. Start small and shoot for this 50K, okay? If you're wanting to go for the lightning accounts, shoot for this 50K. Do not try a 100K or 150K. They are just unnecessary. And I personally still use anywhere from 50K to 100K accounts. I don't even touch these 150Ks. And especially with Tradeify, 50K accounts are just enough because you still have great risk parameter rules where you can still risk a good amount and still get paid a very good amount from these accounts. Now let's look at the rules and talk about everything in this growth account, which is funding in 1 day. So you see here we have a profit target of $3,000. So this is with a 50K account. If you make $53,000 on this account, then you are funded. And then you move on to the actual funded phase, right? And this will cost you around $97 per month. If you don't pass it within a month, then you're going to get rebilled. And if you guys want the most up-to-date discount that you can get, just run the code PB and you will always get the best discount. Now moving on, we have trailing drawdown of $2,000. Now what does trailing drawdown actually mean of $2,000, right? So when you start this account, you're going to have $50,000 as your balance. And the lowest point that you can go in this account is $48,000. And the profit target, as we discussed, is $3,000. But this $48,000 doesn't just stay there as the max drawdown. It moves up with you as you move up with the account. So let's say you're at $52,000 in the account, you've made $2,000, then the maximum drawdown of that account is then going to be $50,000. And then if you hit $53,000, then what's the maximum drawdown? $51,000. So that trailing drawdown is always moving up with you as you make more and more money with the account. And then there's also a daily loss limit in play, which is really, really great for beginners and for traders that just don't know how to stop trading. So this is also why I highly recommend Tradeify for beginners. Now, let's say you blow the account, you have a reset fee of 95 bucks, which is just $2 cheaper than the $97, right? And then the consistency rule is none on this growth account during the evaluation stage. But as you can see here, once we actually get funded, you have a 35% consistency rule, and there's no activation fee. And the max contracts is 4 minis, which is honestly way too much. If you're using 4 minis, then I mean, you're already over leveraging. That's really good that they have this in place. Now, I know you're all probably wondering, what does this consistency rule mean? What is 35% consistency? So this consistency rule essentially means that you can't make more than 35% of your total profits in one singular day. So when you're on this 50K account, your target to actually get a payout is going to be $3,000. That means your biggest green day can't be more than $1,050. And if you do earn more than that, then you'll have to make a little bit extra on the account so that it stays onside those consistency rules. So an example of some good green days on the account look like you're making 700 bucks in a day, 900 bucks, 600, 500 bucks. So prop firms just do this because they want to see you be consistent with your trading. And this is why also really high risk to reward trading doesn't work very well with prop firm, which is why the reason I trade a pretty conservative model. You guys will often see me take 1-to-1, 1-to-2 RR trades, nothing really crazy like 1-to-6, 1-to-7. Occasionally I will hit those, but I'm usually just trying to stick with those 1-to-1s to 1-to-2s so I can oblige to these consistency rules. And that's the way I'm able to get consistent payouts month after month. And with that conservative risk to reward also comes with a higher win rate, which is also really good with prop firms because they want to see a minimum of 5 winning days before you can actually request your first payout. And you can see that right here. And then the max accounts you can have is 5, which we'll get into this later. For now, I just want you guys to be focusing on one account. And same thing for the funded stage, the max contracts you can have is 4, which again is way too much. But we'll also get into risk management in just about a second here. Now, the reason a lot of people gravitate towards the growth accounts, including myself, is because they have funding in one day. They don't have any consistency rules on the actual evaluation stage. So for more experienced traders that have, more capital to be spending on these accounts, they can just take a really high leverage trade and use, up to those 4 minis and pass them in one trade. But moving on, here we have the select account. And the select accounts are really, really cool because you can choose your funded path after passing. Now, the select account is also really cool because it has a smaller profit target than the growth account, right? This growth account is 3,000. The select account is only 2,500 with still the same amount of trailing drawdown, which is really great. It has no daily loss limit, which I don't love for beginner traders, but there is a $95 reset fee. Consistency is 40% only on the evaluation stage, meaning you can't make more than 40% of your total profits of 2,500. Again, no activation fee and the same amount of max contract. Now, this is a little bit more expensive, and the reasoning for that, I would say, is because there is no consistency rule on these accounts, which is huge. For you big risk to reward traders, this is going to be really, really nice because you can make, 1-to-6, you can have a 1-to-7 RR, and it doesn't matter. You can still abide by these consistency rules because there is none. But yeah, you can choose your funded path after passing. So you can get the red pill here, which is those daily payouts, or the flex blue pill here, which is 5 days for your payout frequency. Now, with the daily payouts, your max payout is 1,000, which is pretty small, and the flex is 3,000. But again, you can get these payouts daily if you're using the red pill. And you have a daily loss limit of $1,000, which is pretty tight. And then with the flex blue pill, none. Max drawdown $2,000, and then the flex account $2,000 as well. Now, I honestly think these select accounts are the best accounts with Tradeify, especially for beginners, because the consistency rules at times can be annoying, and not having that on your actual funded stage is pretty huge. And for like 15 more bucks, I'd say it's worth it. Now, for the final account here, we have the Lightning Instant Funded account. Now, what's so great about these accounts is obviously that it has instant funding, meaning you have no evaluation stage, and you can start making money with these accounts in as little as 5 days. Now, of course, there are a lot of cons with this account because you are getting an instant funding account. As you can see, first things first, it is a very, very expensive account, running you around $469, which if you have the money for it, I'd honestly say it's worth it. You don't have to spend time on the evaluation stage, and I always say the more time that you're spending on the evaluation stage, that's time that you could be spending making actual money in the live market. So for more experienced traders and people that have already gotten payouts and are just looking to reinvest back into prop firms, these accounts are great. And depending on what discount is available, you can usually get it for about $100 cheaper, so $328. And this is again a one-time fee. And if you look at the rules here, it's the same rules that you have on all the other accounts. The only difference here is the consistency rule, which is 20%. But if you look look here, then it moves to 25% for payout 2 and then 30% for payout 3 and above. So yes, the consistency rule is pretty tight here, and you're gonna have to look for getting, 1%, getting that 1-to-1 risk to reward, and trading pretty conservatively if you're on these accounts. But again, I would honestly say if you have the money for it, it's worth it. You can get payouts in as little as 5 days. So all in all, here are the accounts that I recommend for you given your trading experience. So if you're in the more beginner to intermediate traders, I would personally recommend the growth or select accounts, and to just get one account with. And I know you can get up to 5 accounts with Tradeify, which is great for more experienced traders, and that can be really enticing right now as a beginner because you're like, oh my god, I can make 5 times the amount of profits. But I'm telling you, do not fall into this hole as a beginner trader. Wait until you get your first payout, and then using that money from your first payout, you can start reinvesting back into the prop firms, which I'll get into in a second here. But just stick with one account. But yeah, again, you can't go wrong. And if you're a more experienced trader, honestly, any of these accounts are fine. The growth, select, or lightning funded, you can't go wrong. They're all great accounts. You just have to honestly choose which one fits your trading style the best. So now that I showed you all of Tradeify's rules in different account sizes and types, and you fully understand them, I'm now going to talk about the actual execution, the exact risk parameter rules that I personally use in order to get consistent payouts from this prop firm. So let's get into it. Now here is the risk model that I personally use with these 50K accounts. First off, you're going to have a maximum of 1% per trade. So risk $500 on a 50K account. And if you don't know how to actually risk properly, let me show you. All right, so let's say you're looking to take this 3-minute inversion short here, right? You're going to go ahead and double click on your position tool right here. Set up your account size of $50,000, your lot size of 1, and your risk of $500, or you can do 1% risk. Candle's going to close in a couple seconds here, so I'm going to do this quickly. But you're going to right click here. You're going to click on create limit order, and it's going to perfectly set up your risk. So you can go to market right here. It's going to perfectly set up your risk. So you're risking $500. Depending on wherever the candle is closing, you're always going to have perfect risk. So it's really important that you use this tool that TradingView gives you to especially also please trade with micros. Do not trade with minis when you're first starting off trading. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if this trade plays out. If it plays out, then I will make around, we can extend the TP for about a 1-to-1 here, but we can make $500. And then if we lose this trade, we'll lose around $500. It's not going to be perfect risk. You're not going to have always the perfect risk in all these trades that you take, but it will be really accurate, and you can be even more accurate with your risk if you're using micros. A lot of people love to hate on trading micros, but it is the best when you're trading low account sizes like 50Ks. If you trade with 150Ks, then yes, I get it. Then you can trade with like NQ, but for now, just focus on trading with MNQ. It's going to be your best bet. Now, going back to the rules here, this gives you 4 trades before you actually blow the account, right? So for me personally, as a more experienced trader, I think that is just enough amount of risk, because when I look at my backtesting stats and my journaling stats, it's pretty unusual for me to go on a 4-trade losing streak and lose that $2,000 when risking 1%. But I can see how it can be pretty intimidating for people knowing that they only have, 4 trades. So if you are uncomfortable with that, I would say to start with 0.5% risk with $250, and that is completely fine, or even 0.75% risk, right? But the important thing here is I want you guys to be comfortable. The way prop firms make money off of inexperienced traders is that they really don't know how much to risk, and they're risking too much to the point where they're really uncomfortable with their trading. They're not even thinking about their trading. They're just simply thinking about, oh my god, I can't lose this trade or else my account's gonna get blown. But the only thing that you should be focusing on with your trading is the execution and just following your model. That's it at the end of the day. Next up here, I have 1 to 2 trades per day maximum. Now, most days are going to be a one and done, which is just 1 win or 1 loss, and then I'm walking away. So if I do take 1 win, I am going to be done. That is like a hard rule for me. I am done for the day. If I take a loss, it's not the end of the trading day for me yet. It really depends on if the loss I took was just like a stop rate, and if the draw on liquidity is still intact and the price action is still really clean, and it was maybe just a bad trade that I shouldn't have taken, but then a second entry model presents itself. Let's say, I took a trade like this. Say up here was liquidity, and then I took a trade like this, and then I got stop rated, and then there's another entry right here. I probably will still take this trade because the draw on liquidity is still intact. But as long as all my other rules are in play, like following my strategy, right, following the time of my trading, high time from inversion, clean delivery from a key level, all that stuff still has to be in play. But yeah, the majority of my days are just a one and done, being I'm taking that win and I'm hopping up. Now, the reason I have 2 trades per day max in a day is because of course, risk parameter rules, but also because of my psychology. Personally, if I take 2 losses in a day, I understand that I'm not on the right side of the market. I'm just viewing it wrong, and my psychology is probably going to be cooked after that. So it's really important, and with these prop firms, you can set yourself these lockout features. And honestly, if you're a beginner trader, just try to take 1 trade per day max. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my risk model. This is what I use. So now I'm going to show you how to actually scale once you get your first payout. Now, after you earn your first payout, the real opportunity when trading these funded accounts is going to be scaling and copy trading across multiple accounts and firms. Meaning you take a trade on 1 account and they copy to all of your accounts. So if you have 2 accounts, then you double your profits. 3 accounts, then you triple, 4 accounts, quadruple, and so on. But I can't make this any clearer. Please skip this step if you have yet to receive your first payout. Now let's get into it. Okay, so this right here is TradeSyncer. So as you can see here, we have the home, we then have connections right here, and I have a lot of accounts, 28 to be exact as of now. Pretty much max allocated with the majority of these prop firms, except for Apex. Right now I'm working on 5 more accounts, but I have 5 accounts with Lucid right now that I'm trying out. I haven't received a payout from them yet. I just got these accounts, so I'm working on them. But then of course we have Tradeify. You can get up to 5 accounts with them. I then have 3 accounts with Alpha Futures, and then I have 15 accounts right now with Apex, and you can actually get up to 20 accounts with Apex, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, Alpha is 3 with their max allocation. Now all you have to do is just click here on this blue connection button and just write the connection name and just insert the credentials that you were given from your prop firm account. Then moving on, we have the cockpit, and this is where you can see the total day P&L, total open P&L. I did actually take a trade today. It was on these Lucid accounts, but it wasn't copy trade with any of my other accounts. But yeah, it was a nice little 30-second long here. But yeah, no trades on any other accounts or my live account as well. I didn't take a trade today. But yeah, as you can see, I took 1 trade on 1 account and it copy traded across these 5 other accounts, and I made a total of $2,700. So if I copy traded all these other accounts, I would have made a lot more money, which is why copy trading is so insane, because you can keep adding on allocation and copy trades across multiple firms. And this isn't a thing yet, but this is gonna be really cool. They're gonna have daily loss limit and daily profit target. This is coming soon, and you can have these lockout features. But yeah, again, guys, I know this seems very enticing right now, but I've been trading for over 4 years now. It took me 4 years to start getting to this point where I have max allocation with all these firms, and I'm copy trading and I'm getting these big boy numbers. When I was first starting off trading and trying to build capital, I was really only using 1 account with a 4x prop firm. But now Futures has made it really easy, and they're super cheap to get multiple accounts. So after your first payout, start looking into more Tradeify accounts. Stick with 1 firm for now, and then you can start scaling and having those big 5-figure days that you always see me talk about. Now finally, if you've made it to the end of this video, I'm going to show you the secret strategy that I use in order to pass evaluations very quickly. Now the strategy only works on accounts with no consistency rule. So this would work for those Tradeify growth accounts that I was showing you, because they have 0 consistency rule and you can pass them in 1 day. And 2 more things to note: this strategy should only be used on evaluation accounts. If you try to use this strategy once you're funded, you are not going to get accepted for your payout. They're going to deny you. And finally, the most important thing, if you haven't gotten your first payout yet, please do not use this strategy. As a beginner, you need to be focusing on building your mental discipline during these evaluation phases, because if you're treating this evaluation phase like it doesn't matter and you're risking really heavy size and you're taking a bunch of mid setups, then once you actually get to the funded stage, you're going to be doing the same thing and not following your risk parameter rules, not following your strategy, and it's going to translate. Even though you might think it won't, it will. So stop procrastinating that thought that you have in your mind of, I'll follow my strategy after I get this payout or after I pass this evaluation. No, start now. I'm telling you, it will save you time in the long run, and it will save you money. Take this from someone who has literally donated thousands of dollars to these prop firm accounts. Please. This does not, of course, have a 100% win rate, so don't be mad at me if this strategy fails, but it is a fun and effective way to pass an account within seconds. All right, so what you're gonna do is head over to forexfactory.com. This will show you when news is, right? And you can go up here to this button, and your Forex Factory might look something like this, right? But we are trading NQ, so we do not care about the majority of these currencies and these news events. So hit none right here and just hit USD, and then expected impact, just check the orange folder and red folder news. This is the settings that I personally have, but you're gonna wait until you have CPI. CPI is a massive news event that happens once a month, and there is a massive candle that either goes up or down, and it typically doesn't wick out, which is why this news event is really, really good for the strategy. So I'll show you guys an example of the strategy playing out from last month. So in January, we had our CPI on Tuesday, January 13th, as you can see here at 8:30 a.m. So let's go ahead and head over to TradingView right now, and we'll go into that day. All right, and for the strategy, you're gonna want to go over to NQ, and 5 minutes before we actually have this news event drop, you're gonna wanna set out your buy stops and sell stops 30 points away from each other. So we can see here, we can set our buy stops 30 points away, which would be right here. So you just do the maximum amount of contracts that you can have for your account size and for whatever account you're trading with. With the Tradeify growth accounts, let's say you're trading those on those 1 day pass, the maximum contracts that you can have is 4. So boom, you put 4 contracts right there as buy stops, and then you can do 30 ticks down here. The reasoning for this is you're just giving yourself room to breathe in case this candle does wick, and then you can put sell 4 contracts there. And in order to make $3,000 of this profit target, you need to have around 38 points. And if you want to, account for slippage, you can just have a 40-point profit target, and then you can do the same thing down here with a buy limit. So now that you have your buy stops and your sell stops and your limits set up, you just simply wait for CPI to drop. So we can play out here. 826, 827, 28, 29, and you just wait for the drop. And look at that. Candle absolutely rips up, fills you, and made the profit target of $3,000. Now you guys can go ahead and backtest this for yourself. This strategy does work very well. Again, only with evaluations, just use this strategy. And of course, not 100% win rate. Sometimes this candle can wick, fill you in for a short, then go up. Sometimes it also might not fill you because the price moves so fast, and then you might get a really bad fill. So yeah, it is pretty much just gambling. But yeah, if you guys just want a fun way to pass accounts really, really fast, and you're not trying to focus on that evaluation phase, and you don't want to spend a lot of money on that instant funding account, then just literally use this strategy. I personally do use this strategy at times, but I also know my model really well, and I know what an A+ setup looks like. So I personally will just usually wait for my A+ setup to present itself, and then I'll just full port the trade on that if I want to pass in 1 to 2 trades. But yeah, as a more experienced trader, I'm not spending my time on these evaluation accounts, because as I said earlier in the video, the more time you spend on evaluations is just more time that I could be spending making actual live money in the markets. Now, it is really important to note, of course, that you also need to be spending time building your mental discipline and building your strategy if you are a beginner trader. But yeah, if you've already gotten a couple of payouts and you know the strategy really well and you understand the model and you have a profitable model during backtesting, there's no reason you should be spending time on these evaluation accounts. And I personally like to pass them in like 1 to 2 trades. So now you know exactly how to trade prop firms the right way in 2026. You understood the mindset, how to choose the right firm, the exact rules and risk parameters, and my secret strategy to pass evaluations really quickly. And traders like me who are getting consistent payouts aren't doing anything really crazy. I'm taking my small base hits, aiming for that consistency in those green days, and just executing that day after day. And if you're looking to dive deeper and learn the strategies and model that help me secure consistent payouts month after month trading with these prop firms, then click the link in the description below. We've helped traders like Solace make $50,000 in just 1 month. Absolutely huge. So if you're ready to take that next step, the link is in the description below. And thank you so much for watching. See you guys later.